This is a video I never thought I would make, but here we are, sat down to talk about when I was a Harry Potter content creator on TikTok. I have a lot of extremely complicated feelings that I knew were complicated, and then when I started researching this video, going back through all my old content and revisiting sort of what it actually looked like in that time of my life, my feelings just became more complicated because I think to some extent it's worse than I remember it being. I was making Harry Potter content on TikTok from 2020 to about 2022, and through it I learned a lot about myself and a lot about my moral boundaries, and I disappointed myself in very large ways. I think the biggest thing that came up when I was writing the script for this video was, this is not an apology video, and that frustrates me because I should be apologising. I'm incredibly disappointed in myself looking back at the time of my life, and despite how much the internet loves to talk about cancel culture and being held accountable, I don't feel like I have ever been held accountable for what happened in the TikTok space. And this is not an apology video because no one has asked for an apology, but someone should have, and I should be being held accountable. So that's part of the reason I'm making the video. For a bit of backstory, it was 2020, obviously we all know what was going down. I was finishing my last year of my degree at Oxford and I had to sit my last exams in my bedroom. I was separated from all of my friends the same way everyone else on the planet was, and it was a really rough period of time, and for the first time in my life I sort of got into TikTok. I was making content for TikTok before the Harry Potter thing came about organically. I was making a series about me renovating my childhood bedroom because obviously in the midst of this lockdown I was living full-time in my childhood bedroom, which is still the room I'm in right now, but it does not look how it looked. So from the 10th of June 2020, I was posting videos renovating my childhood bedroom.
Hi, I'm Aaron, and because of lockdown I'm stuck living in my childhood bedroom again, so I decided there was no better time to do the series, renovating my childhood bedroom.
I was posting a lot of content at this time actually, not just my room renovation. I was posting about Animal Crossing, musical theatre, Glee, and nothing was really gaining any traction, and that was until September. Because on the 10th of September, lockdown rules had lifted enough that you could see your friends, so I was seeing my friend Anna, and we made a video in her car ranking Harry Potter characters to a viral audio.
Ron Weasley. I'm Harry Potter.
I'm Hermione Granger.
To date, that video has 999.9 thousand views, which is hilarious, and I'm pretty sure it's the most viewed video on The Sound. And it blew up at the time because I think our views were really controversial because we didn't put any thought into them and everyone was calling us fake Harry Potter fans, which is how I got into my Harry Potter niche. That was on September 10th, and on September 11th I then posted a follow-up video where I proved to all these people in my comments that I actually was a Harry Potter fan and started showing off my Harry Potter collection, and this is going to become a main theme of this video. Once I realised that Harry Potter content was blowing up on TikTok, I knew that that was something I could get in on because I've been a Harry Potter fan since I was like 6. So at this point I was probably making about 3 to 6 videos a day. And there were some pretty notable turning points. For example, on the 19th of September I posted a video that got 422.2 thousand views, which was the first video I ever did opening a Lego blind bag. It was a Lego Harry Potter minifigure blind bag.
Got into my minifigure blind bag and it was actually Moaning Myrtle, and she comes with Tom Riddle's diary. I think it's really cute, 10 out of 10.
And I didn't think anything of it when I posted it, but boy oh boy, another running theme for the video. Boy oh boy, the blind bag openings hit the algorithm. I got 202k views on the 22nd of September for a video about a Harry Potter fanfiction I was going to start writing. I actually later did start writing it and then I never finished it. But point being, I was cashing in on all these little niches that I knew I could sit myself in. Fanfiction was about shifting, and this was at a time, I mean shifting's actually having a bit of a resurgence right now, but this was at a time when shifting was a major topic of discourse among Harry Potter creators. And I'll clarify right now that I never shifted, nor did I ever try to, but it definitely interested me at the time, and I knew there was views in it. In this era of my TikTok, so we're talking about that September after I blew up, we're probably looking at about 1,000 to 6,000 views on average per video. But the reason I wanted to make this video, and what became evident to me when I was researching for this video, slowly but surely my content became incredibly driven by merchandise, because that is where I was getting the views. I posted a Harry Potter merch haul on the 3rd of October that got 21.9 thousand views.
Show the most expensive item in your collection, the least expensive item in your collection.
And this was content that was pretty sustainable for me. I've been collecting Harry Potter stuff since I was 6. I don't have a lot of it anymore. I have since sold a lot of it. But I had huge amounts of stuff, and because it was the middle of the pandemic and I just finished uni and I couldn't really do anything with my life because I was sort of on pause, I had disposable income that I felt comfortable spending on toys. This is where it becomes a conversation about moral boundaries. I have never been in support of J.K. Rowling in the time that I was posting on TikTok. From early on in my TikToks I was making jokes about how much I disliked and disagreed with J.K. Rowling's worldviews. The problem became, it was one thing to post about a series I had childhood love for while denouncing the author, and it was another to start buying merchandise while denouncing the author, because obviously there's a huge disconnect there, because revisiting a series I've already read, already seen, that's one thing and not directly connected to J.K. Rowling's source of income. Buying the merch is directly connected to her current source of income. So there was an issue going on for a very long time, which is about to come to a head, where I was in one breath denouncing what she was saying and another putting money directly in her pocket. And it really reached a point where the content was like borderline promotional. I wasn't getting paid by anyone. I never did a Harry Potter brand deal, but like I was buying and opening every Harry Potter blind bag I could find on camera. The wands, the pencil toppers, keychains, Funko Pop, like every blind bag I could get my hands on, because I knew it was feeding the algorithm. Even if you're not on the Harry Potter side of TikTok, or you never have been on the Harry Potter side of TikTok, blind bags in general, like, always hit the algorithm. I see mini brands on my TikTok view page, so this was a perfect storm of like a niche I was already in and something that TikTok loves serving to For You pages, and I did not stop long enough to inspect what that meant about my brand that I was creating about myself on social media. As an aside that made me laugh, on October 12th I had one of my most viral videos to date, which got 1.2 million views, which is a video about me making a joke about how I went to Oxford.
I said he's a scumbag, don't you know?
This is only funny because I hate talking about Oxford because it was the worst 3 years of my entire life, which I actually do say a lot online. So it was very funny that that blew up and it wasn't Harry Potter related at all. Maybe I should have stuck with that niche. Regardless, posting about 3 to 5 videos a day became unsustainable to just post about Harry Potter. So around October time, that was when I started diversifying, or like I'd like to think I was diversifying my niche. Like I got 39.6 thousand views on a video on October 13th about It, because it is one of my favourite horror novels, horror movies of all time.
I'm the boy, the lightning, the thunder.
And that was content I did keep posting for the entire 3 years. In fact, I still kind of post about it sometimes now. And I do have followers that follow me because of that content. It's just nowhere near the proportion of followers who followed me because of the Harry Potter content. My videos were averaging lowish around this time, about 1.5 thousand views a video, with the best videos, usually the merch related ones, peaking at about 5,000 views. 5 months after the video that went viral, on October 27th, I hit 10,000 views. Ironically, while I was at the Harry Potter studio tour.
I can't. Hogwarts is my home. A place where I can go.
The studio tour is going to come up a few more times, but obviously posting at the studio tour was an inherently promotional thing to be doing, because I'm telling people, like, essentially go buy a ticket. Even though I'm not saying that, I'm using the hashtags, I'm doing the whole deal. And while I was at the studio tour, I had a merch video which hit, I think, 188.1 thousand views.
This is a haul video. If you want to watch me open things, that's what this is.
Which was literally just a video of me unboxing what I had bought at the studio tour. And this is where it all started picking up speed. On November 1st, I got a video with 182.6 thousand views about my wand collection.
You don't need a friend. Boy, you're the man.
Because when I started doing TikTok, I must have owned about 6 wands, and by the time that I had blown up and was growing my following and stuff, because of mystery wands and the stuff I knew would gain traction, I must have owned about 15 wands. I've sold a lot of them now, but I must have owned a bunch. On November 4th, 40.7 thousand views on a mystery wand unboxing.
Hi guys, it's Aaron, and me and Anna are together, which means we're impulse buying children's toys as per usual. So
10 days after hitting 10k, I hit 12k, which is obviously a very speedy growth. And how did I celebrate, you might ask? I celebrated by showing off merch.
hi guys, thank you so much for 12k. Okay, I'll show you some of my weird Harry Potter things. It's fine, I'll show you some of my weird stuff.
And right on theme, on November 8th, I got 83.7 thousand views on a video showing off my Lego Hogwarts. I would call this maybe the peak of my content, where all of the views were going over 10k. And this was the part of research of the video that actually made me the saddest, because I didn't realise how intrinsically linked it was to merchandise. I truly believed I was just making Harry Potter content. The amount of money and time I poured into licensed merchandise at a time where I was also claiming to openly denounce J.K. Rowling is borderline laughable. And this is why I say, like, this feels like it should actually be an apology video, because these are moral boundaries that I do know. Like, I do understand why it's wrong. But at the time, because the views were coming in, the honestly attention, because it was the middle of a pandemic and I had all of these people on the internet who I didn't know telling me they cared about me and telling me that my content made them happy, and I was just raking it in, and to watch myself deconstruct those moral boundaries I had about J.K. Rowling to keep making that content is just honestly laughable. But it's gonna get worse. Just for an example, everything in this screenshot is obviously over a matter of days. Nothing is below 30k. It peaks at 466.9k for a video of one of my made up makeup lines and 161.5k on a merch video. The makeup line videos are cute. I actually stand by that I enjoy the content I made when I was making the makeup lines, because I still do it now, just not related to Harry Potter, but I was designing fictional Harry Potter makeup lines, and they always actually gained a relatively large amount of traction. But the difference was, I think for me, God, it's so sad, isn't it, to think about, but they were such a time investment. It was like hours and hours and hours of designing, obviously. They're a good payoff views wise, but versus me like buying a Lego Harry Potter blind bag, opening it, posting the video within 10 minutes and getting like proportionally good views. So it's sad because if I double down on that content quicker, then I would never have had the negative impact that I believe that I did have on TikTok. I was climbing incredibly fast at this point. My follower count was just impossible to keep a hold of. I probably did stop posting about milestones, and that's when I posted the video on what I'm estimating to be about November 22nd, because I did delete the original video. On about November 22nd, I got a comment asking me why I buy licensed merch if I don't support JK Rowling. I don't have the original video because, like I said, I deleted it. I didn't delete it to stop taking accountability. It is actually still there on my page as a duet I did, but I muted the original video to talk over it about how wrong I originally was. In the video, I essentially justify it, if I remember, I essentially justify it by saying there are lots of creatives involved in Harry Potter, and JK Rowling is just one person, and she's already rich, and it's a drop in the ocean, so we're not actually hurting anyone. And it was the most incredibly misguided and privileged thing I could have used my platform to say. Once that video started gaining traction, again, I don't have analytics for what the views did because the video is not up anymore. Once it started gaining traction, obviously it started gaining backlash, correct backlash. People were reaching out to me privately, people were posting videos about me publicly, calling me out for what was inherently a very privileged and ultimately probably transphobic thing to have said. This is murky waters, this next part, but obviously I'm non-binary, but at the time I wasn't identifying as non-binary / I hadn't sort of explored that part of myself yet. So at the time, what you have is like a white man on TikTok preaching to the masses about how it's okay to put money in the pocket of someone whose views you disagree with. If you like the wand. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was essentially the crux of it. It was like, I want the shiny thing, and therefore I'm going to do whatever moral thing I have to do to justify that to myself. It was it's an incredibly disappointing part of my life to look back on, especially because my experience of, you know, being non-binary and transness and serious activism now. I was, 21 when I made that video, and I'm 24 now, and my life was so different than it is now, and I've grown so much, but it's so disappointing to know that version of myself, A, ever existed, and B, ever had the absolute boldness to go online and say it. So people started posting videos, and probably the next night was when it all kicked off, and I was in this very bedroom, going through what I thought was an internet cancellation. I posted, I think, 4 videos across the space of that night. They're all still up on my page, and you can watch in the videos in real time how I go from shifting blame to accepting blame, because at the beginning of it, I was like, I'm just being attacked, and I don't understand what I've done wrong, and it's just my opinion. And then by the end of it, what was happening was, in my comment sections and in private on Instagram DMs, trans people were reaching out to me and telling me that my TikTok page didn't feel like a safe space to them. And once you hear that from a trans person, that's probably where you draw the line. Like, that should be your "are we the villains" moment. So at that point, that's when I was like, oh, well, okay, I'm wrong about this. Like, I am wrong about this, and I'm going to stop buying licensed merch, which is what I did. 4 videos, 4 little monologues that evening, and they ended with me being like, I'm stepping away from licensed merch. I'm not going to post about licensed merch. I was wrong. Like I said, I deleted the initial video, and I duetted it, talking over it, essentially being like, this is what I posted. I don't want to delete it completely because I want to be accountable for it, but this is what I said, and this is why what I said was wrong. So that's how I handled it in the moment. Looking back, I still think I handled it relatively okay. I don't trust the intentions of how I handled it. Like, it's so obvious that my first stressor was like, how quickly can I get out of this, when it should have been, who have I hurt, how have I hurt them, and how can I fix that? So that was my brief moment of TikTok cancellation, and I say brief because cancellation on the internet, cancel culture, is nonsense. In terms of, like, people are always like, cancel culture is so toxic, which would be true if cancel culture was real, because 3 days after getting absolutely rinsed online for something I did wrong, I hit 50,000 followers. I had to hop on immediately to tell you guys a huge thank you for 50k. I just woke up to 50,000 people following me on this account. To be posting one night trying to dispel rumours that you're a bigot, to then only a few nights later be posting celebrating 50,000 followers, really does show the problem with, like, how the internet handles, like, controversy, because I should have been being held accountable. As soon as I posted the last video, where I was like, I'm not going to buy licensed merch anymore. So many of the comments were in support of me and saying I handled it so well and all these things. And I look back at that and it's just so sad because, like, the bottom line of the issue was that trans people were telling me my actions were hurting their feelings. It has no... My intention with what I did has absolutely zero relevance to me the second I start affecting the very community I'm claiming to be trying to protect. Also, not the awkward little flash of my Harry Potter tattoo. This is my most shameful thing. I'm getting it covered soon. I'm going to get a Keith Haring tattoo instead, but I got it when I was 18, and it really does sort of prove the whole point of the video, doesn't it? Days after hitting 50k, I announced what I would be doing to celebrate 50k, which was I was going to be doing a watch-a-thon on TikTok Live where I would be watching the entire Harry Potter series. There is duplicity there. It's a complicated one. I did this in an effort to donate all of my creator fund and live donations from that period of time to Stonewall. So in that breath, I thought I was doing some sort of activism. In the other, this is where the duplicity for my content for probably about the next year of this timeline becomes evident. Something that was unavoidable on TikTok was the consistent misreading of Roland Barthes' Death of the Author that comes about when anyone talks about Harry Potter. People talk about Death of the Author when they're talking about Harry Potter because they're using it to say that you can still enjoy Harry Potter once you remove J.K. Rowling from it. That's actually not what the essay is about, the original essay, Barthes' Death of the Author. Barthes' Death of the Author is about how the point of literature is to kill the author as a thing and just see the text as existing in its own right, and that's how you should analyse the work. Like, don't necessarily think about what the author was trying to tell you and just take what you get from the thing. It's a critical analysis toolkit, essentially. I mean, that's how I've always understood it, or that's how I studied it. It really has nothing to do with, like, the moral obligations of an author, because that's how people use it when they're talking about Harry Potter. They're saying that, you know, J.K. Rowling's a bad person, so to enjoy this, we kill the author. The original essay has nothing to do with the moral obligations of an author. It's just been retrofitted to calm the anxieties of people who maybe should feel bad about the way they are consuming media. And it's all well and good getting on TikTok and saying that I denounced J.K. Rowling and now I'm not buying licensed merch, and then at the same time, in the same breath, do a watch-a-thon watching the film series that lines her pockets and will line her pockets for the rest of her life. Karma got me on that one though, because I did get banned from TikTok Live for doing that watch-a-thon. So I guess that's something. My views didn't take much of a hit after I stopped posting about licensed merch, because I started leaning more into my creative content, like the makeup lines. I was designing album covers, I was making viral Harry Potter audios. That was a very large portion of what I was doing at the time. I think TikTok communities like Harry Potter TikTok have a way of protecting each other from actually being held accountable. I say this because I was held accountable for the licensed merch conversation on November 23rd, and on December 12th I had tickets to go back to the studio tour. Granted, I had booked those tickets before I had obviously sworn off of licensed merchandise, and I had some horrible, weird, warped way of dealing with the guilt of that. I think I donated my ticket costs to mermaids or something, which obviously is just a nothing thing, like, don't go. But I did go, and more insanely, I posted content. The videos amassed 85,000 views and 11,000 views respectively, and when I say that these internet communities protect each other from being held accountable, I'm referring to the fact that on both of those videos, not one person called me out for the way that I had gone back on my word in less than 3 weeks. And obviously at the time I didn't think I had gone back on my word because I didn't buy merch and I was just going on a ticket that I had already purchased, but I was posting about being there, like, in the internet creator space, in the, like, horrible influencer word, like, influencing people. Like, I might not have bought merch, but I sure as hell convinced some people to buy tickets, realistically. I was still using the Warner Brothers Studio Tour hashtags, like, it may as well have been a brand deal, do you know what I mean? Like, the way I was pushing it. So, to go from I'm not going to post about licensed merch anymore to I'm going to choose to, by choice, promote this £50 ticket to a Harry Potter experience, from which J.K. Rowling directly benefits, is crazy. And again, it only gets worse. I went into this video thinking that after I stopped buying licensed merch, my content actually did get better. Watching it back in hindsight, I realised that that actually wasn't the case, and that's one of the reasons I'm so sad making this video. My phone ran out of storage. Anyway, on January 1st I got 6.4 thousand views on a video of me flicking through the Mina Lima edition of Philosopher's Stone. Again, an interesting video, because while I hadn't bought any merch, by posting a video of inherently one of the prettier, more collector's editions of Harry Potter, I absolutely was promoting it. Like, I bought it ages before, but as much as I'd love to be like, buy things secondhand, this was a £30 collector's edition that wasn't that old at that point, so I knew, like, realistically I have to have known that I might have been scared people to go and buy it, you know, like influence them to go and buy it. On January 2nd, I moved down south to start my masters, and I actually didn't stop content at all. If anything, I amped my things right up. On January 10th, I soft launched the idea that when I hit 100k, I would be dropping merch. And on January 25th, I hit 100k and I announced my merch. And as much as I would have loved to tell people at that time that I was diversifying away from Harry Potter, two things remain true. One, the video that blew me up to get 100,000 followers was a video that got 1.3 million views, and it was a Harry Potter discourse video about your Harry Potter headcanons. And two, the merch was Harry Potter inspired. I'll insert a picture, but at the time I was calling my followers the Chosen Ones, so all of the merch said like the Chosen One with a little lightning bolt. It was very, very close to infringing copyright, I'm sure. But it was Harry Potter inspired merchandise. It was casual Harry Potter merch. There was no way of avoiding that fact. And while the fact that it's not licensed means that people can therefore have casual Harry Potter merch without paying J.K. Rowling is a good thing, I also wish I had actually put my money where my mouth was about diversifying my brand away from Harry Potter, because at this point I truly believed I was moving away from that content while also making it my entire brand on the internet. This will come back later, but on January 30th I posted a video saying that my pronouns were now he, they. I was still identifying as a man, but my pronouns were now he, they. I also started dabbling in cosplay in this era. I don't want to talk about it. Again, not promoting licensed merch, but wearing a lot of licensed merch that I already owned is very, very grey. But for example, here's this brilliant video from Feb 9th.
Thank you, Madam Pomfrey. Can you sneak me out? Can you sneak me out? You're Slytherin. You're
No.
cunning.
Nope.
You're sly. Slytherin.
No.
Slytherin. No. Why?
Because you're the idiot who got herself injured.
Also, on February 9th, I got a video on 278,000 views, embarrassing myself walking around my Masters University campus in a Slytherin jumper.
I head towards an assessment for my master's degree in full glam and a Slytherin jumper. I think I'm not the main character. I'm just unstable.
Someone should have stopped me. It's a combination of like, this is disappointing behaviour and this is embarrassing behaviour. Like, someone should have shaken me. I was at the big age of 21. The big age. Or was I 22? That might be worse. Similarly, around this time, as much as I wasn't promoting licensed merchandise, I was getting good views on videos like the Harry Potter fan quiz, which got 144,000 views, where I was wearing the very expensive Harry Potter Quidditch jumper, which will come back up shortly. So again, I absolutely am a billboard for merchandise, even when I stopped buying it at that point. Absolutely shameless, diversifying my brand away from Harry Potter. On February 16th, I relaunched a podcast I used to run. I don't run it anymore, but it was like a paranormal, true crimey podcast that I used to run when I was at Oxford, and then I relaunched under a new name. And in the video where I announced it, randomly, for the entire first half of the video, the background of the video is Hogwarts, which I don't understand, because it wasn't a Harry Potter podcast, nor was it related to Harry Potter, but I was just so shamelessly clinging on to that part of my branding. On February 22nd, I posted old footage of the studio tour, again using the studio tour hashtags, again while claiming I wasn't promoting licensed material. On March 13th, I posted a Funko Pop collection video, including my Harry Potter Funko Pops, which now when I post about my Funko Pops, I do not include my Harry Potter ones, especially because I've sold most of them, but also because why would I do that? On March 14th, I dropped a second round of merch inspired by the male characters of Harry Potter. They're essentially like boyfriend jumpers, and that got like 37,000 views. On April 2nd, I posted a video saying how much I missed the Harry Potter theme park, which J.K. Rowling makes a bunch of money on a yearly basis. So, same difference. And you could kind of end the Harry Potter thing there, because this is when I really started diversifying and making more videos about, you know, other makeup lines, Dream SMP, and I was moving away. Until June 11th.
Look, I made you some content. Daddy made you your favorite open wide.
When I randomly posted a video head to toe in licensed merch saying I was bringing back Draco Talk. Now, why would I have done that? We were at a point in my life at that point where TikTok was my primary source of income, the merchandise and the creator fund, and I had convinced myself that because I was no longer buying licensed merch, and I hadn't, because I was no longer buying licensed merch, I was no longer in a moral issue about Harry Potter, when realistically I was absolutely still a billboard for the franchise. It doesn't matter how many times you say you hate J.K. Rowling, your videos still have the impact to convince people to go and watch the movies, buy the books, buy a wand. Like, even if you yourself are not doing those things, by using your mouthpiece on the internet to talk about that series as much as I was and generate as many views as I was still having the impact that I would have been having if I was buying a Lego blind bag. Same difference. On June 15th, I posted a video that got over 10k views about my Quidditch jumper shrinking again. One of the more expensive pieces of Harry Potter merch anyone can own, and I was still talking about it for no apparent reason. And a day later, I posted more studio tour footage from the last time I went. And again, no one questioned the fact that I'd been back to the studio tour after swearing I would stop putting money in J.K. Rowling's pocket. And on June 20th, a whole video about how I wished I was at Hogwarts in front of a massive shelf of very expensive merch. After that, I transitioned my Harry Potter content into mainly just like memes and like the odd makeup line video when I could be bothered to make them. On September 14th, I had a very successful meme that hit 209,000 views for the berries and cream thing. Over Christmas, I returned to my Harry Potter Christmas audios that I had made that always, like, still tend to go viral over Christmas. But when I finished my masters and moved home, I think that's when my actual behaviours changed in real life. Because as much as I was trying to change my content, I was still ultimately a huge Harry Potter fan at this time. I was still convincing myself that my love for a series could be entirely separate from J.K. Rowling's. This isn't true, in my opinion, because J.K. Rowling obviously still makes a lot of money, but this whole conversation isn't actually just about money and merch. It's about intention and social impact. It's about the bigotry that is in the Harry Potter books. It's about the way the Harry Potter books are not as progressive as you would like to believe they are. It's about the way that platforming Harry Potter makes people in minority groups feel. It's about how on edge it can make someone feel to see that you're part of that sort of community. When I moved back home after my masters, I started working as a bookseller, and it changed two very large parts of my life because one, I was having more insightful conversations about Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling with people who work in bookselling, who've worked in bookselling for years and had more fully formed opinions than I did, and who had more understanding of the cultural impact of what was happening with Harry Potter than I did, or than I'd ever chosen to have. And also, I embraced the fact that I was non-binary. I came out as non-binary in my personal life on February 16th, 2022, which was over a year after I posted about my pronouns changing. And that was probably the last nail in the coffin for the Harry Potter discourse for me, because once you accept that you're a non-binary person, and then you accept that J.K. Rowling doesn't have a place in her heart for you as a reader, you have to step away from the book. You have to close the book. I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of feelings about the whole thing. I think the main one is that I am incredibly disappointed in myself. Looking back, it's a fascinating thing what isolation and social media can do to your brain and to your perception of self. I don't necessarily trust myself enough to say that I think that I knew I was doing anything wrong. I don't think I was having enough introspection about what I was doing to even confront the idea that I might be the bad guy. And I'm not even morally saying that just what I was doing was intrinsically the bad thing. I'm saying the fact that I was doing it while also getting on my pedestal and saying that I was an ally to trans people and that I hated J.K. Rowling while doing what I was doing, that's what is wrong. I existed in this horrible limbo of duplicity where in one breath I was saying that she was wrong and the series was separate to her and that I did not support her, and in the other I was getting on the internet and promoting over and over again. The Harry Potter thing makes me incredibly sad. The TikTok episode of it is just a very small one, but I have been a Harry Potter fan since I was 6, or I was since I was 6, and it was most of my childhood. It was everything to me. It was why I started reading. To lose that the way I have, to have to step away from it the way I have to step away from those communities, those spaces, friends I made in those spaces, to have to never engage in those conversations. It's hard, it's horrible to lose such a big chunk of your childhood. So many of my childhood memories are tied to Harry Potter, sitting in my friends' living rooms and watching the movies, and I just find it tragic. Really, really tragic. The TikTok part of it is a whole separate issue because I find it disappointing the ways that I made moral allowances for my own joy, attention, views, and money. I look back at it now with a lot more clarity. I think I would never make those allowances now, obviously. I did the right thing by stepping away, obviously, for my own health and for my own understanding of how to be an ally and how to be an activist properly and to put your money where your mouth is in a literal and figurative way. I wish it was different. I wish the author hadn't put the world in this position, but as much as other people are allowed to get on the internet and say, I continue to be a Harry Potter fan because I can separate the author, I'm allowed to get on the internet and say I can't, and I don't, and I won't, and that part of my life is a closed book now. This little video is sort of me closing the chapter and properly introspecting and taking accountability for something I don't think I've ever taken enough accountability for, something I don't think I have ever been held to task for enough. The way that I contributed to how ultimately toxic I think that internet community can be and could be. And I don't know if this video is going to upset people, and I don't know if this video is going to matter to people, and I don't know if anyone cares about this the way I care about it, but I there are hundreds and hundreds of videos on my TikTok that I can't even watch, and every so often one of them will start randomly going viral again, and I'll get all notifications of people commenting, tagging me, asking me questions about Harry Potter, and it just makes me icky. Like, it just makes me so unhappy, because that's not the person I am. It's not the person I've been for a while now, and I understand the need for escapism, especially at the time of the pandemic. I understand why people fled back to Hogwarts. I just don't think you need to do it with this series, and I think there is beautiful worlds on every bookshelf that aren't written by people like that, and that don't platform views like that, and that don't contribute to social discussion like that. If you want escapism, I strongly recommend Percy Jackson. It's on the same vein. Also Skandar, a newer series, also very good, also along the same vein. It sucks. It sucks to have to leave it behind, but it's ultimately, for me, the right thing. And I hate that this is what the whole thing turned into in the end. And I hate the stuff. I hate the person I was on TikTok, and I'm not proud of him. But I am proud of me, and I'm proud of the personal journey I've gone on, and how different I am. And I love you all, and I hope you're all doing well and staying safe.